Hey everyone. So I had a bit of a confession that I shared in my email that I sent out today. If you haven't gotten the email, if you're not on the email list, I'm going to highly recommend that you go grab yourself a free replay of how to prep for a virtual IEP over at catherinewhitcher.com. Let me go ahead and put that up. And then you'll be on the email list. And then you'll get to hear things like the confession that I gave today. Let me go ahead and put this up here so you guys know where to get your free virtual IEP prep at, there you go. Here we go. All right. So when you go get your virtual IEP prep, I'm going to send you a replay of a webinar that I did. And then, yep, you're going to end up on my email list. It's all good. That's how you're going to stay up to date on all the things like confessions of what I did wrong as a special education teacher. Most of you guys know that I have a brother with Down syndrome who is 42 years old. I became a special education teacher because I thought I was going to change the world from the inside of my classroom. And I realized that my voice was meant to be outside of the classroom, helping parents and teachers and teams work together to build real world IEP goals that really make sense. And there's a lot of different processes that happen when it comes to an IEP, right? There's a lot of different decisions, there's things, and I made a huge mistake in assuming that ESY was two things when I was a teacher. One, ESY was summer school. That's not true. And that ESY was a predetermined program, kind of like a cookie cutter program that you would take it or leave it. And that's not true. And when you're inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, you get to learn all of these different things about what are kind of like half-truths in special education. And it's not that I was doing anything wrong as a special education teacher. It's that I was doing what I was told. I was recommending services and programs based on what I was told was available. And then, and anybody who knows me knows that I like to find the loopholes. I like to ask questions. I like to know why. And when I started really looking around what ESY was supposed to be, I realized ESY does not mean summer school. ESY means extended school year, which means it can be any service that is provided outside of a typical school day or school year, but it's anything extended school year. So extended something. It doesn't have to just happen in the summer. It also does not mean that it's a summer school program that is 6 weeks, 4 days a week from 8 to 12. Now I know we're all in like virtual world right now. So there's a lot of cookie cutter virtual programs that are being offered. You know, it's like, well, you're going to get 30 minutes of this and 20 minutes of that. And it's just the standard offering of take it or leave it. And I'm going to tell you right now that your teachers and teams, and a lot of times the administrators, don't know that we're really supposed to be customizing this at a whole different level, that we're supposed to be looking at the benefits, that we're not just supposed to be looking at regression, that there are several different criteria for ESY, that we're supposed to really be looking at, is there something smarter that we could be doing to help a child who maybe just gained the skill and, you know, we have to make sure they don't lose it, or maybe did have some regression and we need to look at some different ways to work together to develop skills that get back to baseline. There are so many different things that can be done, from private tutors to reimbursement for private therapies to customized school days over the summer to extended days during the school year. So many options. But I made the mistake as a teacher as just assuming what I was told and what I saw was the truth. And it wasn't necessarily a lie. it was like a half truth. This is true. This is happening. However, we should be customizing, individualizing, really recommending things that meet a child's unique needs. I share often on how I had a client who has a daughter with Down syndrome who was mainstreamed most of the time into general education classes. So going to the special education kind of standard ESY Summer School program didn't make any sense. The teachers didn't know her. She didn't know the kids. She didn't know the teacher. So putting together just a reading tutor program, which is what she needed over the summer, just made more sense. It just made more sense. But that customized approach was not the norm. It was not the standard. It was not the go-to rule. So it's just something that you really, I see Kim's here, Kim saying yes. Kat says, sad that the camps won't be open this summer. Completely sad. Such a bummer. On the flip side of that, I know of dozens and dozens and dozens of families that are receiving reimbursement for speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, ABA therapy, behavioral supports, reading tutors, all these different creative things, because it actually ends up being to the district's benefit to help a child over the summer instead of waiting till the fall for like the wrath that's going to happen in the fall is something that you don't want to be a part of. The districts don't want to be a part of it. Parents don't want to be a part of it. It's going to happen though. It's absolutely going to happen. But it needs to really start being addressed now. And we can use that term ESY, extended school year, to get creative, to customize, to not make mistakes like I did as a teacher and just assume that ESY meant summer school and ESY was a standard take it or leave it program. So I want to encourage you guys to go grab your, it's a free replay of a webinar that I did. You'll see it right there if you go to katherinewitcher.com. You'll just see it. Hop on there, go get your free replay. And then I'm going to stay in touch with you. I'm going to make sure that you know what you can be asking for. And let me just share this with you too. We are getting ready to do, let me find it. I'm looking. Our last Master IEP Coach mentorship before the back to school chaos is going to happen. So in June, you come and be with me and all of the other Master IEP coaches online for 5 weeks, and I will prep you to not only help yourself, whether you're a parent, a teacher, an admin, a therapist, but I'll teach you how to help others get through this IEP process in a way that is going to cause less struggle and more results in there. So let's see. Arenza says, this is exactly what our district does, and the only way you qualify is evidence of regression. Arenza, I'm going to encourage you. You know what? I remember you, Arenza. So we've actually met in person. You're in Illinois, I believe. I'm going to encourage you to come over to masteriepcoach.com and come join us, because 1,000,000% we can get some customization going, especially in the state of Illinois, which is a hot mess. I know everybody's a hot mess, but I'm telling you, Illinois, hot mess when it comes to special education stuff. There's just a lot of things that are put to the side because of our state's financial situation in there. So Arenza, I'm going to encourage you to come over to masteriepcoach.com. I'd love to have you. I know you have such a great relationship and partnership with making a difference in your district. Would love to have you. So on that note, let's see, Maria said, I'm so happy to be doing, the Master IEP Coach mentorship before we start back to school in July. Yes, it's going to be great, Maria, because we want to get to the front of the line. We want, without having to yell and scream and cause issues and make people afraid, We don't want to do that. We want to be collaborative and we want to be smart about our solutions. So everything from parent input statements, updated data, present performance level for goals, making sure that we have supports and services in place, making sure that we have virtual learning plans that are in place, making sure that healthcare plans are in place, making sure that the special education goals from the 1980s that are sitting in so many IEPs are wiped out of there, and we get to really focus on where our education needs to go versus where it's been. Kat says, not sure about Virginia. I can tell you about Virginia. I got lots of information about Virginia. So I would love to have you come join me in the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. Oh, Kim says, come join us. It is so worth it. You will sleep so much better with the knowledge you gain. Kim, love having you in the Master IEP Coach program. You're making such a difference for so many families. Knowing how to customize things and knowing how to get to a yes in a proactive way that doesn't break apart an IEP team, because we should be able to talk about things like customizing ESY, like individualizing services, like getting reimbursements without causing so much struggle. Let's see. Did Illinois have the special education teachers do tracking logs during COVID? No. There was nothing standardized in Illinois during COVID. So now, did some districts? Maybe. Was it recommended by the state? Perhaps. Was anything mandated? Nope. Let's see. Yes, it sounds interesting. I want to get my son ready. He's going to 8th grade. Oh, yes. Come in to the Master IEP Coach Mentorship so you can prep for this next year and then know all the things that you need to do to get ready for high school. What's really cool inside of the mentorship is that we have parents, teachers, admins, therapists, which means somebody in that mentorship has been there and done that of what you're getting ready to do. So this 8th grade year is a huge transition year. I know I'm feeling it as a mama myself. My child is not in 8th grade. She is in high school, and she is now officially a senior in high school. The things that we have to do, even without IEPs, to prep for whatever the heck is coming up next is overwhelming. And like for me, I actually think better when I'm thinking in terms of an IEP and how we can prep for the future and what's going on. This is, we have some systems and structures that are critical that can really make this happen for students. So on that note, I just want to let you guys know, like, I'm all about, we make mistakes as special education teachers, as employees of a district, as parents. We make mistakes. That's all okay. Own your mistakes. Move forward. Tell everybody about your mistakes so maybe you can help them not make the mistake. I don't want people to think that ESY is summer school, and I don't want people to think that it's a cookie cutter program that you have to take it or leave it. That is not true. So I own that mistake from 20-some years ago that I made. I also shout it from the rooftops. So hopefully as many people as possible don't make that same mistake, because one of the most painful things that we can kind of experience as a parent or even as a teacher is, 10 years from now saying, I wish I would have just known to ask, right? Like, why didn't I just ask? So now I'm telling you, go ask for things to be individualized, customized, and really put together for your child or for your students over the summer so we can make the best of this transition back to it in the fall. Let's see. Marianne, come on in. I have Marianne Smith. She is moving to Texas from California. I adopted 2 boys, 1 autism, 1 learning assistance needed, overwhelmed with what's going on. I need help with what their IEP should look like. I highly encourage you to come into the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, because I can guarantee you that I have Master IEP coaches who are in Texas who are actively working with parents and schools to design IEPs. And, in Texas, they call them ARD meetings, ARD. So ARD meetings There's a lot of ARD meetings. There's a lot of pass the buck. There's a lot of good intentions with things just tend to move really slow in Texas when it comes to getting things done. Got to create an awesome paper trail. Got to create an awesome timeline so you can keep things moving forward. I have lots of families and schools that are doing great in the IEP system in Texas. It's just different paperwork than California. Same concepts, same core materials, different jargon, and different paperwork. So you want to jump into the Master IEP Coach program so we can help you through that piece. Kat says, congrats, Marianne. Yes, congrats from California to Texas. We'll just leave it there. Let's see. My son will be 15 this year, and I still feel lost when it comes to the IEP. Moved from Oklahoma to Washington during the beginning. So lots of people who have moved. Denise, I'm going to encourage you to come into the Master IEP Coach program too, because you should not be feeling lost. You should feel very structured in, for example, week 1, we talk about 10 questions that you should always ask at an IEP meeting. And it's not just a random bunch of questions like, what's the data? Or, what's the classroom look like? It's not the basic questions. These are actual questions that lead to big changes. They are questions like, and I'll just give you an example that would lead you to what's the full continuum of placements for extended school year or summer school or services over the summer. It's questions that could be asked about how the data is being collected, how it's being presented, how it's being shared. It's not just where's the data, it's what are we doing with it? What's going on? And walking you through those pieces. Is the parent input statement reflective of the true parent concerns? And for anybody who's going, what's the parent input statement? Every IEP has a place for parents to have a voice. We'll talk about that mistake that I made as a teacher a long time ago. We'll talk about it in the future because it was a long time ago and it's a big, big, big story. So it's actually a core of how we set up IEPs to be successful is a parent input statement. Let's see. Do I have any coaches for Albuquerque, New Mexico? I do have a coach. Melissa is in New Mexico. I believe it's Melissa. You can find her at myiepcoach.com, Brandy, or you can come be a Master IEP coach yourself. We can always use more Master IEP coaches. 7 million kids in special education. We are never going to have enough Master IEP coaches. All right. On that note, ask questions about ESY, get it individualized, get it customized. Start really thinking about what would be helpful over these next 10 weeks to transition a child back into the fall, whatever that means, whether it's going to be continued virtual learning, a hybrid program, or on campus with, social distancing modifications. I don't know what it's going to look like, but what do we need to do in the next 10 weeks? That's where we start to design individualized ESY. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon.